Hey there, my friends. This is Andy coming to you from Yorba, California, and I'm going to jump into this right away. But we've had some wild nonsense, and it just continues. You or I, and many people that follow me think, well, this is going to be it. This is the worst it can get, right? But I've been saying that for 6 years, and every day it gets worse. And so a post came out on Instagram, and I'm sure it came out on other platforms, but that's where I saw it, where Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim, the admin for Yorba Moms, which sounds very nice, right? You'd think they'd be sharing locations to have dinner with their families and go out hiking and gardening tips and recipes, perhaps, and other things. But that's not what Yorba Moms is, nor is PYLUSD. They are related groups on Facebook that are hate groups. And an interesting thing is they continue to push this narrative that they are the ones being attacked, that they are the ones that are harassing people. And I'm going to talk about projection in just a little bit, but I first want to share the post that was up, very patriotic post, and then discuss a little bit about projection. And then I have a bunch of slides, but I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. So you may have to go back and pause and look and see exactly what all the slides say, but I'm going to go through them very quickly because I don't want this to be a 3-hour video. So let's go to my screen. This is the statement from at Yorba Moms, admin and community to PYLUSD school board representative. Now, I don't know, none of that makes any sense. But, I'm not thankfully not in Bonnie's brain when she typed this up. But I'm going to skip that first part. It's a bunch of nonsense. And then below the red line with the star, the first one, it says, after years of enduring personal attacks by Leandra Blades and her supporters, including but not limited to Andre Jimenez, otherwise known as Andy Falco. Actually, my name's Andy Falco Jimenez on social media. All admin, past and present, of Leandra Blades group, Yorba Uncensored, including Karen, Crystal, Nellie, Tanya, Heather, LaDonna, Ryan, Maria, Corrine, who also goes by Colinda Corrine on World Wide Web. We are here to say we will no longer stay silent after the years of harassment, threats, and intimidation tactics. We will continue to live our best lives while enjoying our community, specifically the Yorba Moms community that Leandra and her friends have worked so hard to intimidate and silence. Okay? You see, we love our freedoms here in America, especially our First Amendment rights to free speech. Okay, Bonnie. That may be one of the funniest things that's in that post. Myself, Bonnie Conte, she has trouble with run-on sentences, I think. I'm not an English major, but Bonnie Conte, founder of Yorba Moms, along with my amazing friend and co-admin, Esther Kim, will continue to be a strong community of women who love to bond together on all things mom life. Okay, a group of thousands of amazing women who support one another. Little does she know that it's the thousands of people who send me the screenshots of her nonsense. A group that is 98% political free, and that is a lie. But every now and again, we definitely engage in discussions about people who are elected to represent our children's schools, and we will definitely continue sorry, I'm getting a phone call, to voice our concerns regarding anyone running or elected to represent our children's schools and our community. Now I'm going to go to the right and read the rest. That's the comment section of the post, and it says, if you have children, and this is again from Bonnie, if you have children in our school district, you know what this is all about. The community is sick and tired of the unethical and mean-spirited behavior of PYLUSD School Board Representative Leandra Blades. For years, Leandra and her supporters have been harassing, intimidating, and threatening one who speaks up about her actions regarding our schools, students, teachers, and how she treats, now I can't read, treats those she is representing. This week alone, we went on her public Instagram and called her constituents losers, lunatics, and overweight. When is enough enough? Our children, students, and our community deserve better. Okay, so that was a mouthful, and I'm sorry, but I do have a lot of reading to do on the subject. But what's interesting is that this is a pure case of projection. If you were going to give a class on projection, you would use this post and then state and show all the times that they in fact are doing what they're accusing Leandra of, which she has no aliases. She doesn't run any of these groups. She hasn't attacked teachers. There's specific teachers that are doing horrible things and have been caught doing horrible things that I'm sure she will speak out about. We do talk, and I say we, her, and I, and others talk about the teachers union cabal, the APLE, the CTA, the NEA, which is essentially a criminal cabal in the sense that they do everything they can to do anything but educate our kids and raise money to give simply to liberal, Democrat, socialist, Marxist organizations to get people elected within our state and, of course, across the United States. And so when we speak of the teachers union, they then want to claim that we're talking about all teachers and saying teachers are horrible. And so this is there's going to be a study on the act of projection. Now, I want to go to the, and I'm just going to read this. I'm not going to show it on the screen, but it's from Grok when you type in, what is projection when it comes to these things? And it clearly states projection. And now I want you to keep in mind what I just read to you and listen to the words of what projection is. And it refers to a rhetorical and psychological tactic where individuals, politicians, parties, or movements accuse their opponent of exactly the same false behaviors, motives, or strategies that they themselves are guilty of or actively engaged in. It is essentially a form of deflection or hypocrisy that gets packaged as an attack. The core idea are these things. Psychological root. Projection is a classic defense mechanism first described by Sigmund Freud and later expanded in modern psychology. A person unconsciously or deliberately attributes their own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, desires, or actions to someone else to avoid dealing with them internally. In politics, the term is applied when someone levels a charge at the other side that mirrors their own conduct so closely that it looks like they're describing themselves. It's not just disagreement or criticism. It's when the accusation feels like an inverted mirror image of the accuser's own playbook. And I'm going to show you how Bonnie participates in this, and Esther Kim and the others, PYLUSD. So how it typically works in political discourse. Number one, accusation matches the accuser's behavior. The projector claims they are doing X when X is something the projector is already doing or has done. Number two, it shifts focus and moral high ground by attacking the other side for the very thing they're guilty of. The projector avoids scrutiny of their own actions and tries to seize the role of the righteous victim or whistleblower. And number three, it can be conscious strategy or unconscious habit. Sometimes it's deliberate messaging. A political operative knows it's a good attack line. Other times it's genuine psychological projection. People genuinely believe the other side is the source of the problem because they can't face it themselves. And it goes on, and it talks about fascism and authoritarianism and other things. And so I hope you understand that this is really what I'm going to address as it relates to this post and years, not just a couple months. Some people may be coming to this who've just joined the PYLUSD school system or moved into our community and think, what the heck's going on? What is happening? Is Leandra Blades that evil? They claim she's a murderer, that she's an insurrectionist, that she's all these things, which she's not, in fact, that she purposefully ran over a student to try to kill them at one of the schools, which they have said. It's just craziness in the form of attacking somebody that you disagree with, or you have sided with the Marxist Socialist Teachers Union, which Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim obviously have, along with other members of their group. Not a lot of them, because I get probably a majority of them are the ones who are sending me the screenshots within Yorba Linda Moms and PYLBuzz, that it's this group of people that have joined forces with the teachers union's operatives. Some of them are retired teachers, some of them work directly with the APLE or the CTA, the California Teachers Association, or the NEA, and they've joined forces because they're either liberals or Democrats, and so now they've decided we're going to side with these socialists, and we are going to continue to make claims that the education system in PYLUSD needs to be saved from them, that they're going to destroy it. And you recognize these words that they use not only locally but federally, that it's the end of democracy, that they're wasting money, and when in fact they're spending, when the parents, Leander Blades, Sean Youngblood, and Todd Frazier, had the majority in the school board, that was their claim, is that they're destroying education, that they're needlessly spending money, that they're firing teachers and administration, which none of those things were happening. What they were doing was spending money on education and programs that increased a lot of things within our organization. But Bonnie Conte, Esther Kim have, for some reason, who knows why, have decided that they're going to join this group of people who are going to attack and use projection and lies to get the public to form the opinion that Leandra and Todd and others are horrible people, and myself, for simply sharing their words, for showing what it is they're doing, and suddenly now we become the evil people who are harassing, intimidating, and all those things that she described. So I just want to give you a little bit of understanding and history lesson, and I believe it's necessary because I need you to know where parents in PYLUSD are coming from. Those that understand common sense, that have kids in the school district, that want our kids to be educated. I want you to know where this is all stemming from, and it was happening before COVID. COVID just exposed most of it, but none of this stuff happened at COVID. This has been happening for years, and we've been seeing it, and we've been asking for change. And so let me just, again, bear with me. I just want to share with you these things. I'm going to go through these slides very quickly, so again, you may have to pause and go back and pause. But I just want you to understand where California is on the education, which includes PYLUSD. And going back to my screen here, as soon as I bring the presentation up, is that in California, and this is the most current stats because California actually has been lower, but pure K through 12 academic and safety focused list like Wallet Hub and US News, when they've looked at pre-K through 12, place California in the lower half around 30th to 38th. Now you're going to get the teachers union to say, well, the teachers need more pay, or we need more money put into our schools. Just so you understand, California pays per student one of the highest amounts of money per student in the United States of America. It's somewhere around $20,000 to $25,000 is the top of what per student funding is in California. And then if we look at teacher pay, who are the top 5 paying states? California at $103,552. New York, which is another horrible school outcome district or a state, is second. Washington and District of Columbia and Connecticut. I think Connecticut has actually rates pretty high, but the other 4 do not. Now, who are the lowest? This is going to be important. Bottom 5 lowest paying states is Mississippi. Florida is like the 4th at the bottom, and then Louisiana, Arkansas, and Alabama. Now, the other 4 are horrible too, but I'm going to show you why. Florida, you'll be shocked to find out that Florida ranks number 2 overall in education. What did I say California was? 38 to 39 or something like that. Florida ranks number 2 overall in education, combining pre-K through 12 and higher education metrics like graduation rates, college readiness, NAEP scores, and post-secondary outcomes. And the reason is Florida's higher ranking demonstrate that policy reforms, not money, school choice accountability measures can drive stronger outcomes even with lower salaries. So coming back to my screen, if you listen to the CTA and the other teachers unions, it's all about money all the time. But it's not. It's about what the parents who were in charge at one time of PYLUSD had recognized and said, no, it is about school choice, accountability, getting CRT out of our schools. It's about making sure that we bring the grades up and we increase the standards for graduation so that the kids have something to work for, and to show that education in our area actually is better, because not only is the outcomes better, more kids are reading, writing, counting, and learning how to think. But with the increased graduation standards, we still have a lot of kids graduating. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of kids graduating because we have a higher expectation. We have built a culture of education. That's what we wanted to do. And so in 2022, I think it was, 23, in that time period, as parents had control of the school board, we brought in somebody by the name of Dr. Chernus and Dr. Gates, and we had Beth Fisher over at a school that was turned into Orange County School of Computer Sciences, and we began to bring in programs that actually increased education, and things began to go well. Well, who do you think hated that? The APLE and the CTA. They despised the fact that we were able to show that with change of policy, with that would have an outcome where more kids would become educated, and the graduation standards would be increased, and then kids would graduate knowing how to read and write and count and think. That was crazy, right? And just really quickly, I'm going to go through these very fast, but what we saw here in PYLUSD, you can see from 2019 to 2022-ish to onwards into 2023, the declining enrollment in our school district. Then suddenly, with Dr. Chernus coming in, we had the first projected increase in enrollment, as you can see there. Of course, then we had increased math achievement in not only the general student population, but also in the disadvantaged and those with disability. We saw an increase. And then in English, we saw an increase. And then, of course, also in disadvantaged and disabilities, we saw an increase. We had more students that took the AP exam. We had targeted intervention going on at the time. 2,000 plus students were involved in intervention in mathematics. We then had an increase in preschools. Parents who wanted to bring their kids and get them started on the right foot. And so we saw this increase from 2022 to 2025, and a really big growth there in 24 to 25. We had advanced diploma-bound program called Advance, I guess it was, and it's a bridge program designed to support special education students. We brought back sports in middle schools. Thousands of students were added to wrestling, and there were 5 new sports, including flag football. And I think this PYLUSD Common Sense post puts it best. During that time, we had climbing enrollment, we had after-school math tutoring with focus in Area 2, parents wanting strong academics. Dr. Chernus participated as a tutor in Area 2 to help the students in that area, which is a lower income area. New and innovative programs like OCSES and USI, parents wanted more opportunities. New preschools open uniquely coinciding with climbing enrollment in PYLUSD. And Dr. Alex Chernus says, this unprecedented growth reflects the continued strength and appeal of our school district. So you see, this attack really became heated because, again, the teachers union put out the bat signal to their followers and constituents in the Democratic Party and the liberals and the progressives in our community, which are low in number, by the way. But they said, hey, we have to do something about this. They're actually educating our kids. They're increasing enrollment. They have these new programs where people were coming from other jurisdictions and other districts and actually coming to our school. We can't have that. We must put this to a stop. And we must say how horrible Leander Blades and Todd Frazier are, and Dr. Chernus and Dr. Gates. And what ends up happening, unfortunately, they did a really good job of projection, and we lost the next election. So, and they lost it, and we lost it because they projected that it was Leander Blades and Todd Frazier and Sean Youngblood and Chernus and Gates who were destroying the school. That teachers were getting fired, that admin were getting fired left and right, which again, none of that was true. And this craziness went on. They had their lawn signs out. They had banners talking about how Leander is a murderer and Andy Falco is a hateful person and a misogynist, and he takes pictures of girls in the restrooms. These are all things that they did. They began to attack my business. They began to send letters out about Leander Blades, double-sided letter that they mailed out to all the people in Leander Blades' area with just these narratives about where she slept with her, had sex with her husbands, to that she was an insurrectionist, all the things. They had them written, and they mailed them out. This group, these people that are a part of Yorba Moms and PYL Buzz. This was happening. They followed me to my church. And had people following me, and they served me papers in the parking lot of my church. They called the two churches that we attend, which is Calvary Chapel Chino Hills and Calvary Chapel East Anaheim, and they would call and send emails saying I needed to be removed from the church, that I was this horrible person. The pastors thankfully would come to me and say, hey, I got this email about you. And they would start to laugh, and they'd say, keep up the good work. And so it was amazing, and it still goes on to this day. And these are who these people, Bonnie Conte, Esther Kim, and the people that they support in these group have gone on and continue to do these things. I'm going to share some screenshots of things that are happening now, that have just happened within the last couple of weeks and months and over the last couple of days. And I'm going to show you, this is who Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim are. They put that original post up, making all these claims, when in fact it's not us that are doing it. The only thing we do is expose it and show you what it is they're doing. So the most recent one is this one. This is Leandra Blades, a picture of her and her husband celebrating their anniversary. Not in California. Her husband took her on a trip for their anniversary, and what a glorious thing for a husband to do. And Leandra Blades went on, I think it was a surprise, and that's fantastic, but it happened to coincide with the school board meeting. So PYL Buzz, this organization that said that they're the ones being attacked, that Bonnie Conte says that she's the one who's being slandered, or whatever it is, the wording that she used. No, they write and make up an entirely made up story and say, Leandra skipped last night's board meeting and approval of our district annual budget to hang out in the lobby of the GOP's watch party last night. Priorities. You know, Bonnie Conte wrote that because it's a horribly written sentence. So, but she was not at a GOP watch party. It's a completely made up story. And that is exactly what they're claiming that we do. But in fact, they're the ones doing it. We then have this one, PYLUSD Moms. This is from Bonnie Conte, who says, please pay attention to who you are electing. So she's sending out lies and information on her Yorba Moms post again. But she's saying that, no, we just share recipes. We just talk about mom stuff. We don't do any political stuff, hardly any. But she writes this whole post about calling, it's kind of a repeat of what she wrote in her post on Instagram. And here is an attack that was written that says that Leandra is a part of Moms for Liberty, which I don't think she is. Many of us don't even know really what Moms for Liberty is. We know who they are. We know they exist, but we don't participate. We're not members. We appreciate all it is, what they do, because they point out the fact that they are after taking over the board. That is true, that parents should be part of the school board. That's really who should be on the board, not CTA operatives, not teachers. It's supposed to be parents that are holding the district account for what it is they're doing. But she says after taking over the board, they work to ban critical race theory. Yes. They push for parental rights. Absolutely. Why wouldn't parents want the rights over their kids, over anybody else? And they want to ban books. Now, the ban books is, again, that is just a way of saying that, at least they're trying to claim that Leandra Blades wants to, and Todd Frazier and others, want to ban all books out of libraries. And they're burning books in the parking lot. None of that has happened, and that's not what they want. They just don't want pornographic books in the library. But see how they word it is to give the impression that, for whatever reason, a mom and a dad who want their children educated are somehow for banning books out of a library. That is not what's happening. There's pornography and pornographic books that are in the library, the elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high schools. And you have this Bonnie Conte again, as you can see her name up there. Anyone else finds this as troubling as I do, an adult parent stating in a community forum that she has viewed, and then what it goes on to say, this is just unfortunately what was sent me, viewed pictures of a boy in a girl's restroom. And she has viewed it because I'm sure somebody posted it somewhere. I didn't, but I did do a video that I received these pictures from a parent of a daughter who was in a restroom at El Dorado High School where a boy dressed as a girl was inside the restroom. All of them fully clothed. The door was propped open somehow. I don't know how it was propped open. But the picture is taken from the outside of the restroom into the doorway where the fully clothed people, a boy dressed as a girl, in the bathroom. And the reason being is because the girls were complaining that these things were occurring where boys were going into restrooms. And everybody said they were making it up. The APLE, the CTA, the school board members that were the liberal progressives that are on the school board, and Bonnie Conte and others said, no, that's a lie. That's not happening. And so a parent received these pictures from her daughter and then shared them with me and others, and they were the proof that this was actually happening. Those same pictures, by the way, were sent to Carrie Buck, Marilyn Anderson, I think it was El Sasser who was the supervisor at the time, or it could have been Matthews, I'm not sure which one. They were sent to Joey Davis and others. And so they also viewed those pictures. So, but Bonnie Conte is doing here is attacking a substitute teacher within the PYLUSD. So here she is attacking a teacher in PYLUSD. Again, in her post, she claims that Leandra is attacking teachers. No, this is Bonnie Conte attacking a substitute teacher because the substitute teacher happened to say in a post, hey, I've seen those pictures of a boy inside the girls' bathroom. It is happening and has been happening for a while, is what she wrote. So Bonnie Conte is saying, oh, how horrible. We need to now attack her. You go over here to the right where it says, brilliant spinach. I always like to be called Brilliant Spinach. It says, warning, Karen Farley, who's the substitute teacher in PYLUSD, is now working as a substitute teacher in PYLUSD. Maybe the district office should know about this. Teachers are not comfortable with her on campus, but can't really do anything. You all can, though. So here it is that Bonnie and Brilliant Spinach are telling people to call the school district, to email the school district, to get the substitute teacher fired, and making a claim that is simply not true, that other teachers aren't comfortable with Karen Farley, simply because she stated, it is happening, I've seen the pictures, and this is happening. But you again see how this all works. Here we have them again, PYLBuzz, attacking a teacher. And now, I know it doesn't look like that, but I'm going to explain this to you. So PYLBuzz believes that Jolly Holly is a teacher at PYLUSD. They believe that this is another teacher by the name of Holly. It isn't, by the way. But you see what they did here is they say, so which of your students are you happy to see go? Because again, they believe it's a teacher. So here is another little bat signal to everybody that will believe PYLBuzz, because they've been trying to say that Jolly Holly is this teacher. Again, it is not Holly the teacher. But they're trying to use whatever post Jolly Holly puts up, because they, put up posts like this, which they are right. They're right to put up this post, because this illegal alien was arrested for raping an autistic child. So PYLBuzz doesn't say, wow, that's horrible. That just simply by saying, you don't have to say the illegal alien. You can just say, wow, I can't believe that we have this happening, that we have this man who's raping a child. Like, wow, that's bad. But because they point out the fact that it's an autistic child, and Jolly Holly puts this post up that says, thanks to our brave ICE officers, this pedophile is off the streets of California, which is a very positive thing. What they're trying to do is turn it around, that not only is Jolly Holly, who they believe is his teacher, again, that is not, that they are horrible because she believes it's a good thing that a pedophile rapist of autistic children were arrested by ICE. How horrible PYLBuzz wants you to think that this is, and that Jolly Holly thinks that it's a good thing. Next thing we have Bonnie Conte at it again. Yorba Moms, they put up this post of a completely made up story. Now on the left is the post, and she writes, Leandra Blades wants cooperation with ICE and PYLUSD. I believe she wants to say cooperation with ICE and PYLUSD. And then she writes this made-up story. I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, an El Dorado student was wrongfully detained by ICE and held at gunpoint. The student reported, they chased me to my house, he says, and when they got a hold of me, they tossed me to the floor, pointed a gun at me, and asked if I had papers. And it goes on to say that this person was eventually lodged in Orange County Jail. So coming back to my camera, so I knew just by reading this, because again, Bonnie's horrible at writing a story, a narrative, even a made up one, because I knew this was false just from reading it. As a former police officer and detective at Anaheim Police Department, I said none of this happened. I knew none of this happened. Number one, ICE is not operating in the PYLUSD area. They have not and never have. They've never gone to a school. They've not gone to school in the entire country ever. And so this is crazy that she wants to give you this idea that an El Dorado student was suddenly just detained by ICE and chased and a gun pointed at them. Well, I wrote and did a post, and then I did a video on that this is nonsense. I know this didn't happen. But then Bonnie Conte goes on to say, well, I have a report that proves that it happened. So not only does she lie in the post, but she lies in the fact that say that she has a report. She doesn't have a report. She didn't have a report. She lies. Again, going back to that post, how she claims that Leander Blades lies. But with projection, she wants to claim that everybody else is a liar because I have a report, including obviously me, which she never had. So I go to, I call the Placentia Police Department chief, ask him, did this happen? And he says, nothing like this happened in Placentia, ever. ICE isn't even in the area. They're not doing ICE raids. There's no immigration enforcement happening in Placentia. I said, okay, great, thanks. And so then I talk about that. And then she goes, well, I'm going to show you the report. Well, going back to my screen, that's not a report. This is a citation that's given when somebody's released or lodged into Orange County Men's Jail. And the reason I knew the post was wrong because juveniles or students that are currently attending, unless they're 18, of course, attending El Dorado High School would not be lodged in a men's jail. If they were under 18, they'd be taken to juvenile hall or taken to the police station, or their parents would be called to the scene to take custody of them. But the other thing is that what you see on there is that at the top it says Anaheim Police Department. It also has a site number, and then down about midway, a little bit below midway, it has a police report, 26-012296. So what do? I call the Anaheim Police Department where I used to work. I contact the public addressing sergeant and Sergeant Sutter, and I say, hey, what happened with this site in the police report? Can I get a copy? And he, of course, says, no, you can't get a copy. Right now, it's still going through the system. And I said, is there any way anybody could have got a copy of that report? And he says, no. And so Bonnie lied about having a report, so this is all she had. And then I said, what, could you tell me the story on this? And he explains to me that this incident, coming back once more to my camera, is that it was a gang enforcement stop in Anaheim, about 15 miles away from El Dorado. Nobody knows whether or not this man was actually a student at El Dorado or a former student of El Dorado, but he was a gang member being stopped by the gang unit, and he fled on his bicycle first across traffic, causing several near misses and came close to causing a traffic accident. They did chase him. They did tackle him. They did put handcuffs on him. He didn't believe that they pointed any guns at him, but took him into custody, and he was arrested. So none of the story, as Bonnie put it, is true. It is all a complete made-up lie. So why do I bring all this up and go into such detail is because then Bonnie Conte and Yorba moms put out, again, the bat signal to have a walkout, mostly based on this incident and the lie that ICE is going into schools in PYLUSD and dragging children out of their schools, which again is all a lie. So you see that at the top it's Yorba moms and El Dorado High School, Valencia High School walkout, February 6th. And then I personally am so happy that these kids are speaking up about what is right. This is not about missing school. This is so much more. This is really not more because none of this is happening. It's so much less. Open your eyes, people. To what? To something that's not happening. If you open your eyes, you're going to see nothing. Nothing is happening in regard to ICE raids in the PYLUSD, and has never happened. And I'm here to tell you it will not happen. And so, again, an example of what it is that they're doing that they're claiming other people are doing. The other thing and most recent incident, and going back to my screen, is the transgender athlete, the man who's competing against girls in our sports here at Yorba Linda High School, at CIF track meet, and then throughout the state, A.B. Hernandez, and he wins. He wins, I think, three first place at the one in Yorba Linda, and then goes on and wins 3 first place somewhere else, and then takes the top, in long jump, high jump, and triple jump, I believe, something like that. And so because, again, Leander Blades, Todd Frazier, myself, other people in the community say, you know what? It's not right that men are competing against girls in girls' sports. It's a 98, if not 99% of the country do not think that men should compete in girls' sports. But what did the CTA? The CTA posts almost daily about transgenderism, about LGBTQ, and about the attack on what? On who? On men who are competing against these girls who were so bad that they couldn't compete against other men. So what do? They go, oh, I know what, we're going to compete against girls, is what they're doing, because we can win. And so they want to promote these losers with a mental health issue. And because we say that, they say that we are calling their constituents names, or that we are horrible people, that we are homophobic, that we're all these things. No, we're protecting girls from these people in their bathrooms, in their locker rooms, and in their sports that do not belong there. They simply don't belong. Again, 98 to 99% of the country feels the same way. But not the teachers union, not Bonnie Conte, not Esther Kim. And so they hate that. And then when we come out and talk about Carla Jones, a teacher, and this has happened just a few weeks ago, there's a screenshot of her standing there, and then you see on her waist there, I blew it up there on the right, there's this badge that they are still attempting to indoctrinate our kids and to tell any kid that will listen that they are probably in the wrong body. That if they're a boy, they should be a girl. If they're a girl, they should be a boy. And why do I say that? It's because that card is specifically used by the NEA and the CTA to send them to the NEA website, the LGBTQ caucus website. It's also the CTA too. If you go onto the website, you'll see the CTA prominently on the website. But you see that QR code that has a upside down triangle on it. That QR code will lead them to the website for the NEA LGBTQ caucus website, which does a fantastic job of converting your boy into a girl, your girl into a boy, because it gives them everything they need to know to get indoctrinated and to believe that that's the solution. Here are the books that they want to keep in. Here's just an example of the books they want to keep in My Dad's Belly. And of course, when we show pictures like this of books that have been in our schools throughout the districts in the state of California, again, we're homophobic. But again, we are not banning books. We are banning this book in the school. You can go on to Amazon and get the book. You can go anywhere to get the book if you want to give it to your kid, but we don't want it there for just any kid to see. Our kids don't need to see this. This is stupid. This is one of the dumbest things and dumbest titles of any book you've ever read in your entire life. In My Dad's Belly, referring to a baby. It's got to be one of the dumbest things. Again, here's pictures of our schools here. I think one of them or two of them is from El Dorado. I believe another one is from one of the middle schools. I want to say Kramer. I could be wrong. But these are pictures that Bonnie Conte, Esther Kim think belong in our schools. They do not belong in our schools. And here is an email I got from a parent that proves that this is a problem in our schools. She writes, my 15-year-old freshman at Eldo says her friends don't drink water all day to avoid having to use the restroom. They also call off sick due to female issues to avoid the bathrooms, losing major educational time. Why? Because boys have been in their bathrooms. Boys are aware of this law and are using it to their advantage to spy on girls at their most vulnerable time. I blocked that other part out because it uses names and certain things that would identify the person who sent me the email, so I blacked that part of it out. So I hope this helps you understand how that post really illustrates the projection being done by Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim in the sense that they want you to believe that I, Leander Blades, in some ways Todd Frazier, that other parents that they listed there, again, many of those people I have run into. Some of them I don't even know who they are. So I've gotten messages from a couple of them saying, I don't even know what she's talking about. I've never said anything about her. Speaking of Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim, them. I've never, they've kicked me out of Yorba Linda Moms, so I'm not even in Yorba Linda Moms. And I got other emails from other people and messages from people that say, I just got kicked out of Yorba Linda Moms because I liked your video, or I voted for Leandra. She found out I voted for Leandra Blades. So when it comes to the freedom of speech on the First Amendment, Bonnie Conte and Esther Kim do not believe that in whatsoever. If you simply just give a thumbs up to one of my videos, or a thumbs up to one of Leandra's blades, and I'm getting you don't even have to comment. They kick you out of Yorba Linda Moms. So just laugh at them about when she says things about First Amendment rights. When she says that she's the one being attacked, she's not being attacked, she's being exposed. Those are completely different things. I'm just sharing you the things that she's done and what she does and how she does it, and make sure that you can understand that this is projection. It is what they are doing and claiming that others are the ones that are doing it. All right, my friends, I hope that has been helpful. Again, there is so much more. I could share so many other statements and pictures and even videos of some of these things that are going on. We have pictures and videos of Bonnie Conte with some of the teachers union members and other people. It's just mostly Esther Kim, but they're all in the same group, protecting all the same things and have the same goal, and that is to give you the idea that the parents in PYLUSD are racist, horrible people if they believe that their kids should be educated. You can't want that. You can't want their kids to go to school and learn how to read, count, and think. You can't have that. You have to have them believe these other things that are crazy. It is really crazy. And so we're going to continue to fight. She, I think, somehow thinks that this will cause us not to continue to expose her lies and her attacks, her attacks on our businesses, those of us that are business owners, writing bad Yelp reviews that they have in my business. But it's not. She's yelled at me across the parking lot at In-N-Out Burger, called me an a-hole in front of a parking lot full of people and employees of In-N-Out Burger. She's gone to other restaurants and yelled at teachers. And she says that Leandra attacks teachers. Bonnie Conte has gone into a restaurant, is sitting in a restaurant, and two teachers walk in, and she's yelling at them about how horrible they are in front of all the people. That's the crazy thing. All right, my friends, that's it. And please share this video out to others so they can see what they are doing. We love you guys. God bless. Take care.